Hello and welcome to another episode of Ken's Training. Today's training, what we are going to do is we are going to change the front brake pads on a 1997 BMW 528i with a straight six engine. Okay, so let me show you the car that we're going to be working on. So it's a 1997 BMW. It's a BMW and it's a 528i series. Alright, so now let me show you the tools needed for the job. We've got some brake pads that we purchased at Pep Boys. These are just semi-metallic pads for about $30 for the pair of front brakes. I purchased a package of Ultra Disc Brake Lubricant, which will be used to help try to keep the brakes a little bit quieter. I'll show you when I put that on. To raise up the car, we're going to use the BMW jack that came with the car in the trunk, and then this here is to remove the section right here with the lug bolts. This here is to remove the little decorative cap that goes on there. I just have a flat-bladed screwdriver, a flashlight, pair of channel locks. I got a torque wrench here. The slide bolts, the glide bolts are torqued down at about 25 foot-pounds. A pair of needle nose pliers, and then I'll use a pair of safety glasses. And then I also have a car jack just so that I can work safely. So the first thing that I'm going to do while the car is sitting here stationary is I'm going to remove the cap to expose the lug nuts. So let me go ahead and do that. So what you do is you just take this and this, put it on here and turn counterclockwise a little bit, and you hear a little snap, and then that comes off right there. Okay, now that I've gained access to the lug nuts, I'm just going to use my wrench here and just going to loosen them. I'm not going to take them off. I'm just going to loosen them up while the tire is on the ground. Okay, all of these are loose. Now what we're going to do, the calipers are in the rear. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the car on, turn the wheel all the way pointing that way to give me as much exposure on the caliper as possible. I'm also going to put some 2x4s to chock the rear wheels to prevent the car from sliding back and forth. Once that's done, we'll go ahead and jack it up. Alright, so now you can see that we've got the car, the wheel is turned all the way, and we've got the rear wheel chocked with some 2x4s to keep it from rolling. Now I'm going to go ahead and jack up the car. Ow. These BMW jacks are pretty cool. You just turn it like that. There's a section under here, under the car. You can't see it from your angle, but there's plastic all around, and there's one section here that has no plastic. That is where the jack, where this portion of the jack goes. So I'm going to raise that up. Alright. Put that nice. And that's just going to raise up the car from there. The wheel can freely come off now. I'm going to go ahead and put this underneath and get it up as high. I want it up just at the right height here, and I'm just going to leave that there as a backup. So if this were to fail at all, I got to make sure that tire is still going to be okay. So right about there, I'm just going to leave that in place. I'll leave that jack stand as a backup. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go ahead and pull off the lug nuts. Okay, so I've pulled off the 5 lug nuts that hold on the wheel. I'm going to pull the wheel off. Now this is a great time when you pull the wheel off to look at your tread to see how much tread you got on there. and these are called wear indicators. If this tread is down to the wear indicator, you know you need to replace your tires. But so that's just one thing you want to look at. Okay, we're getting ready to do the brakes here on the driver's side. We have the car jacked up. I've got a jack stand underneath. Also, I just made sure that the vehicle was nice and secure and that it's not going anywhere. Give it a little wiggle. For safety, we put the tire underneath the car, so if there was some problem with that jack stand, the car would come down on the tire and the rim and not on us while we're working. I put some plastic underneath the area that I'm working, and then I also just get an old box for drinks, and I put that underneath so when I spray things down, it just sprays directly into the box. So you want to kind of have this type of a setup when you're doing your brakes. And then I also turned the caliper wheel, so I turned the wheel so that the caliper was coming as close to me as possible to make it as easy to do the job. Thank you. Okay, so we're working on the driver's side right now, and right here I've got the wheel off. This is the rotor right here. This is the caliper right here. This is the sensing line, the brake sensing line. It goes back to the computer to tell, gives a signal when to change the brake pads. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to take the caliper and I want to remove it from the brake frame, which is right here. This attaches to the brake frame. Now, in order for me to do that, there's a couple of glide bolts, one on the top and one on the bottom, that I need to remove, that are held in by two dust caps. Now, this can be hard to see because of the angle, but I'm going to try to show you the best possible way to do it here. So this one here is the dust cap that's on the top. I have my screwdriver on it right now. Can you zoom in on that?
I can. Do you want me to do zooms and stuff?
Can you see right? So right there is the dust cap, and
Move your hand.
If you can see that.
There you go.
Hang on one second here. And there it is, the dust cap. I just loosened it up and I just took it off with my hand right there. So that's the top one. Now I still got to get the bottom one. Now let me see if I can show you the bottom one, where that is. See the camera. Alright, so I'm going inside here. Okay, there's the bottom one right there. And I'm just going to go ahead and take that one off. And you can see there. Now that exposes the Allen head. Alright, hang on. Put that back there. Now that I've got that opened up, I can take my 7mm Allen and I can put that on and loosen up the loosen this up. So I'm going to put that on. I'm going to loosen that up, and now I'll get the one on the bottom and loosen that up. Now before I go and loosen them up all the way, I'm just going to collapse that piston with my large C-clamp. I'm going to put that on right here, and I'm going to collapse that piston so that it goes all the way in. Alright, so now I'm collapsing the piston. I want to get that collapsed all the way. I'll go ahead and take off my large C-clamp. Okay, now that that is collapsed, I'm going to go ahead and remove this anti-brake rattle with a large flat-bladed screwdriver. Just basically lifting that off. All right. There it is right there. And I'll just put that down. And now I'll go ahead and pull off the rest of this. So I'm going to pull out the glide bolts. While I'm here, I'll also remove this dust cover off of the bleed brake screw. Pull that off so I can pull this wire and get that free, so when I spin that back it'll be easy for me. Alright, and let's see here, right there. I'm going to loosen these up 100%. Okay, there's the bottom one. I think I got the top one as well. Alright, I got them both. Alright. And then I'm just going to go ahead and bring that up here. I've got a bungee cord just to take a little bit of pressure off of this and just put it up here and support that like that for now. Alright, so I am not going to do the cutting of the rotors. If I wanted to cut the rotors on this job, the way that I would do that is I would, I'm not sure what size wrench it is, but there's 2 bolts back here to take this frame off. Then I could use a 6mm Allen head right here to remove the rotor and send them out and get them cut. But I'm not going to do that. Alright, so I do want to clean this frame up a little bit, so I'm just going to take a little bit of spray. Let's see here. I need
bags are to your left.
I have a blue handled wire mesh it's like a toothbrush sized wire cleaner. I just want to get that so I can clean out the these grooves a little bit.
Not over there. I heard it.
Alright, so I'm just going to spray inside of here, spray here, and I'm just going to clean that out. Alright, now that that's cleaned out, I'll just go ahead and pull out my glide bolts. Here, you can see here where they connect onto the piston, right here and right here. And I'm just going to take those. Okay, so now I'm going to just clean these out. And I'll put some grease on here before I put them back. Okay, so those are good. And so now I got to work with this brake. Now, the brake pad, I got a sensor in here that I also have to deal with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that off. And I'm going to take out this sensor right here. There's a clip in here, right here, and you have to save that clip because this has to go into the new one. So for now, I'll just put that down right there. Now, I also need to put some grease that's going to be located right here on the piston, the round section of the piston of the caliper. So I'm just going to wipe that down, and then I'm going to put some grease on there, which will help prevent brake squeal. So I'm going to wipe that down for now. Now that piston is still out a little bit, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get my new brake pad set in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the old, I'm just going to pull the sensor wire out of the way for a second. And I'll put this clip here for a second. I'm just going to put the brake pad back in, and then I'm just going to use my C-clamp, and I'm just going to collapse that down so it's all the way collapsed down. So basically I'm just going to take that get it on there like this and collapse that down so it's all the way collapsed. And if you can see that, you'll see that it's going in there slowly. But because the new brake pad has so much more meat on it, I need that extra space in order to put it in. Okay, so there that is all complete. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. Alright. Now for brake grease, I've got some synthetic brake grease here. I'm going to put that on, get a little bit on my finger, and then I'm going to take that. Okay, so right here I'm taking and just putting a little bit of grease right here. It's on the back side of the piston there. Alright, so here is the new brake pad. And you can see, by the way, how much difference in thickness the new brake pad is from the old brake pad. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to transfer the sensor wire onto here. So the way to do that is with this clip, put that clip in like so. That kind of just holds in place. Then I'm going to take the sensor wire, push that through, and then it goes on. Bring that light up so you can see the light. Okay, now there's the detail on that. If you can see that, that just fits right in like that. So now that's perfectly seated right in there. Now that that's there, I'm just going to put this back. And hang on just a second here. Okay, now that's snapped in place. I got the sensor wire on there. Now, I do want to lubricate also these ears right here that are going to go in this channel right here. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit more of the lubricant here. Get a little bit on my finger again. And this is, again, high temperature brake grease. And I'm going to put some of that right on these ears. So a little bit here and here as well. Alright, so that is ready to go. Now I still got to do the second brake pad that's going to go right here. But before I do that, I want to just clean off this rotor a little bit. So I'm just going to spray that down both sides. And I'll just take a fresh brand new rag and just wipe that down real quick. Okay, now the rotor is nice and clean. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my second brake pad, which is going to go right here, and I just want to grease up the ears. So again, I'm just going to take a little bit of grease, put on my finger, and put some of that on these ears right there and right here. One thing you don't want to do is make a rookie mistake right now and put this on this way. If you were to put it on this way, you'd be putting it on backwards. This is the brake pad here. This has to be touching the rotor on this side. Same with the other brake pad. That has to be touching the rotor there. Otherwise, that would be a rookie mistake. Now, this is just about ready to go on. I just got to put a little bit of grease on where this back of this pad touches this caliper. So, one last time, I'm going to put some more grease on my finger. And it's just about using this packet up right here. And I'm going to pull that bungee cord off, which was supporting this. And I'm going to put some grease here and here. And that's where it's going to come into contact with that brake pad. So now I'm going to bring this back down and just gently put that into place for now. I can go ahead and re-secure this line right here, which goes on the bleed screw. This is the sensing wire, and then I'll put the dust cap for that back on. So that wire is secured. I don't have to worry about that wire. Now, I do want to put some more grease on the two slide bolts that need to go on. So I'm going to do that right now. Alright. So here, put some grease here. And I'll throw that one in the top. And put some grease here. And I'm going to throw that one in the bottom. Okay, now that those are ready to go and be secured, I'll take my wrench, which has the 7mm hex head on it, throw it to tighten, and I'll just start tightening up. Alright, the top one is started. Before I send that, I don't want to tighten that up till I get the bottom one secured. Alright, and I can see it going in right now, so I know that it's grabbed the threads. So I'm going to secure both of these. I won't go super tight just yet. I still got to tighten those down. You'll notice how I got the wheel turned, and I have the wheel turned so that the caliper is as close to me as possible. If you have the wheel straight, it makes your job a little bit harder because the caliper would be a little bit more further away from you. These bolts are a little bit more exposed to me now by having the caliper out towards me as I do the brake job. Okay, now to put this anti-rattle clip back in, basically I'm going to take the two ears, push one here, one there, and then push down on this, and then use my large flat bladed screwdriver here, and I'm going to try to push up like this, and it snaps right into place. You want to also just make sure that it's caught, and this way it's not going to go anywhere. But that looks really good. Alright, now I'm ready to go ahead and torque down my 7mm bolts. Now this is supposed to be 30 foot-pounds, but I don't have enough distance in here to get my torque wrench in properly, so I'm just going to feel that 30 foot-pounds. Okay, that's the top one. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom one. Okay, right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on my dust caps that just keep the dust out. There's one on the top, and there's also one on the bottom. Okay, here's a second dust cap that goes on the bottom. Basically, it just pushes right on. And that is the complete brake job. Now I'm just going to put the wheels on. Probably going to pull out my bungee cord that I used to hold the caliper in place. Okay, now we're going to do the rear brakes on the car. And what I've already done, come on over and pan over here. I've already taken the wheel off. I've already got the other side of the vehicle chalked to prevent the car from rolling. I've got, go ahead and shoot over here where you can see that We've got the car jacked up, and we have a jack stand for safety, so we're completely safe working on this. The pad, the brake over here, now this is on the rear. It's a lot smaller of a pad right here. We've got our new pads ready to go. And here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off the caps. Okay, there's the top one. Let me get the bottom one here. Okay, there's the two caps that'll go on at the end. Now I'm going to take my wrench with the 7mm socket. Make sure it's to loosen. And this particular brake will have a sensor too, so I have to reuse that, and I'll show you that when I get to it. Alright, so let me loosen that up. And on this one again, we're not going to cut these rotors, we're just going to do the pads. Alright, there's that one. Let me get the one on the bottom. Alright, I want to pull off this this spring right here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that. Let's see here. Turn that out. And I'm going to try to get that out right there. Actually, I'm going to have to collapse that over. I'm going to have to bring that back in order to do this. So let me get that on there and bring this caliper the other way. Okay, here we go. Okay. That's really bringing that spring over, so it's going to be easier for me to get that off. You don't want to do this too fast. These brake pads on this side, the rears, are really shot. You'll see them when I take them off. There's that. Now, see if I can get this off. That is tough. Get that off, I tell you. It don't make it easy. Kind of snaps in there. There it is. I got one side. It's almost out. Just about there. Yeah, there's one side. And the other side should just come right out, actually. I'm surprised it didn't come out yet. There it is. Alright. Come on. There it is. Okay. Put that down. And I'm going to gently bring that back. Alright. Now this brake pads are really, really sharp. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. Support that for now. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this all the way. So I got to put that on there, bring this up here and collapse that. Okay, I've collapsed that all the way. Now there's a sensor in here I got to deal with. So let me show you how to get at that. There's the caliper bleed screw right here. I'm going to move the cap off, and then okay, that kind of traps this wire in here, so I can pull that sensor wire off. Now that sensor wire is attached to this pad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that off like that. And let's see if I can get you to see this. Okay, there it is right there. That's the sensor attached to the pad. Now basically I'm just going to hold it, wiggle gently, and bring that back out right there. And there's a clamp here that holds that in place.
There's another clamp on this one too.
Alright, now I'm going to get the new pad that goes in there. Now before I put the new pad on, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on that section right there. Hold on. So I'm just going to put a little bit of grease on this ring here. And I'm also going to put a little bit of grease over here on this back side right here. That's where that pad, it'll rest against that pad. Okay. So we put that there for a second and wipe my hands clean. Alright, so now alright, they provide us a couple of shims in here. Actually, they provide you 4 shims.
The shim.
That's to put on the back of the pad and to also kind of supposed to quiet it down and stuff like that. Okay, so
Are we gonna use them?
yeah, we'll use them. So let's see here. These 4 shims look all identical. Alright, so that don't matter. Now this is the pad here that is going to go in the caliper. Now they provided a sensor with that, but this sensor isn't going to work for me with my job, so I need to pull this sensor out. So I'm just going to take my needle nose pliers and just pull this out. Alright, so it just comes out like that. Alright. Now, the way that these things work is they got a backing on here. Hold on. Alright, so they're going to go like this. I just got to figure out what side has the
soft part.
the backing. I don't know if it's this side or the other side. It's this side right here. Okay. So I'm going to pull that off, keeping that clean. Take the pad, I'm going to put it up here and I'm going to center it as best I can. Alright, and then land that right down. Okay, so there's that on this one pad. Now I'm going to take off the spring clip that was on the original pad. I'm going to put that on the new pad right there. Now I'm going to go back up to my caliper, and the sensor goes through the hole here, and that now has to go, oops, hold on a second, I knocked the spring clip out of the way. I got to put that back on. So I'm putting the spring clip back in. Right there in the center. Okay, let's go back to this. Alright, I'm going to take the sensor, and if you can see that, I'm going to push that down right in the center. Hold on. I keep knocking that spring out of the way. That spring has to be just right for it to go in. Okay, there it is. Go back to the sensor again. Alright. Alright, there it is right there. Alright, that's fully seated the
Show
way
the
that it's
camera.
supposed to be. Now I'm going to take that.
Wait, show the camera tag.
Okay, so that's fully seated where the sensor is right there into the brake pad. That's fully seated in there. Now I'm going to take this and push this onto the piston. Actually, it's already on. Okay, so that's one section that's done. Just going to leave that for a moment. Now, this here's the other brake pad that's going to go here. And this is the replacement. Here's the shim. And I'm going to get ready to put that on, which is going to go on just like that. Alright, so I'm just going to take off the backing. Keeping that clean. And now take this. You want that centered as best you can. Okay. And then just press that into place. Take this one off. Put that down. Take the brand new one. Put that in its place. See that flashlight? Okay, I just want to make sure that everything's okay here. That looks fine. You just got to make sure that it's pushed in when it goes in. But it looks fine. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the caliper. Make sure everything's in tight. Let's see if that will fit on. Okay, and that will. Hang on. It's not in yet. Okay, there it is, right there. Just had to wiggle it in place. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my slide bolts because I want to put a little grease on them. Alright. So I got my new brake pads that still have to go on the driver's side. I'm working on the passenger side right now. What I'll do is I'll put these in this box for the moment with the old pads. Alright, let me get some grease. These are just the shim pieces of paper that came off of the brand new shims that I put on. Okay, let me get a little bit of grease out of here. Alright. And I'm just going to grease up the glide bolts. Glide or slide, whatever you want to call them. Alright. And a little bit more. This packet's almost empty. Alright. And there it is. Okay. Clean my hands off a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to put these on. Back in place. Okay, there's the top one. And there's the bottom one right there. Okay. Now I started with the bottom one first on the I'll just start with the top one here. And the top one I don't want the extension, it's too long. Alright. Alright, I'm going to leave that kind of loose. Let me start the bottom one now. I got the top one started. I'm just kind of feeling my hands here because it's difficult to see from my angle exactly which one it is. There it is right there. Alright. Let me snug that one, and I'll come back to that one in a second. This one's too tight for me to get the torque wrench on, so I'm just going to have to feel for my 25 to 30 foot-pounds of torque. Alright. Okay, there it is on the top. Okay, and now put the extension back in, I'll get the bottom. Okay, that's it. That's both of them. I'm going to put the caps on now. That protect those Allens. Now this wire for the sensor, I'm going to put that back on the bleed screw where it holds it in place. That's the caliper bleed screw. Okay, now I got one last thing to put on, and that's this spring. Okay, this spring, the way that it goes on, alright.
You trying to just push it in?
Yeah. Alright, I almost got it actually.
All you need to do is just hammer it or lift
Let's see
it.
if I can get that over. And see if that'll come down into play right there. And push. Alright, I got it. Okay, so right there is your entire deal. I got a little bit grease on that.
Is that alright?
Yeah, I'm just gonna wipe that off with my my rag. Okay, that's one side done. That's the passenger side of the vehicle.
I don't think we have enough battery to do the other side.
Completely done. All we have to do now is we're just going to put the wheel back on, lower the vehicle down, and go ahead and do the driver's side. But pretty much that's the job. Thank you. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you could do me two things. If you liked the video, if you could please hit the like button down below at the bottom of the video on the left-hand side. I'd like to. That would be nice. And also the second item, if you could leave a comment. I love to read the comments that people leave behind, whether they like the video or didn't like the video, or if they need some help or anything like that. The videos that I create are generally created for the people who work in commercial office buildings in the maintenance department, people that specialize in mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, although we do touch other things like roofing and other trades, drywall, painting, and so forth. But if you have any questions or anything like that, I also would like to share with you my website that I have, which is at kencogliano@wix.com/Ken Training. I am going to provide a link at the end of this segment, so this way if you want to click on that, you can go directly to my website. You can also check out all my videos there, as well as there's a section that you can send me a personal email if you wanted to discuss something that you're working on or anything like that. Thanks again, and I hope you have enjoyed the video that you were watching.